I want to continue discussing the latest on the government shutdown, starting first with a perspective from the House, and we'll get the Senate perspective later. Joining me now to talk about this and more, Congressman Andrew Clyde, who is a member of the House Appropriations Committee, the Budget Committee, and the Freedom Caucus. Congressman Clyde represents Georgia. Congressman Clyde, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Tony. Great to be with you on Washington Watch.
All right, before we discuss the shutdown, I want to first get your thoughts on the results from Election Day, because there were some races in Georgia that turned some heads.
Yes, there certainly were, and the outcome here in Georgia was quite disappointing. But I think if you look at it, you see there's a number of mayoral races there, local races, that especially Atlanta, that drove Democrat turnout. And so I think that's what you saw here. We need to ensure that our Republican base stays energized for these type of statewide elections, and that's what hurt us. I think in the rest of the country, you have blue states electing Democrat leaders or socialist leaders, or I don't think there's any surprise there. But I was very disappointed at the outcome here in Georgia.
I mean, you had two statewide seats to public service commissions, usually races that don't get a lot of attention. But Democrats won those races against incumbents with a 60+% margin. That's the first time that's happened, where you've had Democrats win in the state of Georgia statewide since, I think, 2006.
That is correct. But again, if you look at what drove turnout, I think it was the mayoral races here in the blue cities that have the large populations. When you don't have those kind of races in red areas, then you don't have what drives turnout. And there was no other real statewide election or any other, important, statewide important election.
Right.
So as a result, you see a problem there for the Republicans and an advantage to the Democrats. And that's kind of why you saw, I think, the 60-40 split.
Well, that's why it's important that conservatives vote in every election. And
absolutely.
We talk about pray, vote, stand. We need to be praying for our nation, praying for our leaders, both at the state, local, and federal level. But we need to vote every time we have something on the ballot, whether it's a tax for the dog catcher or whether it's for the President of the United States. We need to be out there voting.
Every conservative, their civic duty. Every American should be out voting. And if you go to other countries that don't have the liberties that we have, so many of our people take our liberties for granted. And those liberties should never be taken for granted. As Ronald Reagan said, it's not passed on in the bloodstream. It has to be fought for every solitary generation, every election it has to be fought for. And our people, the conservatives who believe in the founding documents of our nation, we have to get out every election and protect that so that our future generations have the same liberties that we have.
Right. Right. And to your point of Georgia in particular, which is just a micro of what happened in the macro, is that you had these local elections, drove turnout. We had some good people. Tim Echols, who served on the Public Service Commission, I've known him for probably 30 years. And I think he's served for 16 years in that position, bringing conservative values. And he was defeated because people didn't turn out to vote in those red areas, as you mentioned.
Right. I mean, Tim Echols actually goes to my home church. So absolutely, we did everything we possibly could. But unless conservatives are really willing to take time and focus on this nation and go, okay, we have got to get to the polls, because that is a constitutional right that we have to vote, and we have to continue to exercise it or we'll lose it.
Yeah, it's a right that we have as Americans. I would add to that, Andrew, that as a Christian, it's an obligation. I believe we have an obligation to be out and be salt and light and to vote. All right, I want to go back. We just have about 3 minutes left. I want to go back to the issue of the shutdown. Now that the election day has come, and we've got Democrats doing a victory lap, do you get any sense that the Democrats are now ready to reopen the government, saying they've accomplished something?
Well, I think that that is a possibility right there. From what I understand, there are some negotiations going on with the more modern or more moderate, excuse me, senators. A number of them, enough of them to actually overcome the filibuster. We need 7 Democrats to vote with Republicans, and we've got 3. And I think there's enough that actually would do that now that they've had this blue state victory in blue states. It gives them something to crow about. But, welcome to day 36, the longest shutdown in history, in the United States history, due specifically to the Democrats and their desire to spend more money and to provide health care for illegal aliens over American citizens. I mean, the transportation secretary just announced that this weekend we're going to have a problem with about another 10% of our airwaves or our airspace from aircraft not being able to fly because of the shutdown. That's a serious problem for our economy.
Yeah, he just made that announcement just this afternoon that the FAA saying that the shutdown is going to start impacting flights in 40 major locations. So about a minute left, Congressman Andrew Clyde, what do you see as possible a way forward? I mean, we're almost at the end of the CR that was originally put forward. What do you see as the possible outcomes here?
Well, I think the Senate either is going to have to pass a continuing resolution with an adjusted date, and I would see that optimal date being somewhere in end of January to end of February timeframe, so that it gives the Appropriations Committee time to negotiate between the House and the Senate. The House Appropriations Committee has completed all 12 of their appropriations and sent them to the House floor, but the Senate has not done that. In fact, the Conferee Committee isn't even put together on the Senate side.
Very, very quickly, Andrew, I'm hearing from Senate appropriators they only want a CR to the end of December, maybe the 21st of December.
No, that's
bad
not
idea.
work.
A bad idea, but that's
very
what they're.
Bad idea. Yeah, I know, but that's setting us up for a Christmas omnibus.
It certainly
that will
is.
Be pork-filled, and absolutely not. That will not have support in the House.
Good. Hold the line, because the outcome of that would be horrible. Congressman Andrew Clyde, always great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Tony. Great to be on Washington Watch.